Okay, so if you watched the previous lesson on setting up skelegons and turning them into bones, then you're already familiar with how to build the basic skelegon structure that you're looking at here in this flour sack model. The flour sack mesh is very similar to the box mesh you saw in that lesson as well, but let me show you here how to highlight the skelegons. So if you have skelegons in an existing model, the easiest way is to hit your W key to bring up statistics. This will bring up your statistics window and allow you to look at either polygon statistics or point statistics based upon what mode you're in. So you can see that switches based upon the mode that you have. So I'm in polygon mode and I have polygon statistics, which enables me to then see my skelegons column right here. If I hit the plus symbol, that then highlights all of my skelegons in the layer that I have active. So as long as my layer is active and I got my skelegons in there, I can hit the plus symbol and it will all light up. Now that makes it easy to copy and paste or cut and paste actually and move these around from layer to layer. So if you're working in layer 2 and you want to cut them into layer 1, that's a good shortcut for you. Alright, so I've got everything together. You can see in this case I've got, let me zoom in here a little bit. I've got some extra bones I've added. I now have 3 bones going out to the arms for this particular model as opposed to 2. And the back's got 2 bones in the upper back, 2 bones in the lower back. This will give us more articulation, more detail in the posing, and less rigidity when it comes to deforming this character. But what we're going to do next is focus on the issues that come up when we get this over into layout. So let me get out of Modeler. I'm going to go ahead and just do what I would normally do, which is to save this object. And I'm going to go to File, Save Object As, and then you're going to go ahead and save this model onto the hard drive of your choice. So I'll just go ahead and give it a name. You can call this whatever you want to call it. Now, if you don't have the flour sack mesh that I'm working with here, you could be doing this with the box that you created in the other lesson. That would work fine as far as just following along and understanding this. But if you're taking the class and you are focused on this particular flour sack exercise, then you will have this model in front of you anyway. You'll have this already at your disposal. So here we go. Flour sack model 3, I'm going to save this. I'm going to send it over now to layout. Send object to layout. There's my flour sack. I can smooth out the mesh a little bit by going to the surface editor and just turning on smoothing for my surfaces. Helps a little bit. There, it looks a little better. Now, the first thing we do, of course, is we go to convert our skelegons. So we go to Setup, the Setup tab once again here, Convert Skelegons or CVT Skelegons out of the Add menu. That converts those skelegons into bones and we're ready to start looking at them. So when I click on the bone, I can either come down here and select Bones Edit Mode and do it that way, or I can just click on the mouse and see what happens. Sometimes it becomes tricky depending upon your computer, your mouse, whatever, but you should be able to double click and get the bone selected. Hit the Y key to turn it into Rotate Mode, because as we know, we only get to rotate these bones, not going to move them. But as I cycle through using my arrow keys on my keyboard, I can start to see the rotation options for each bone. And I see that with this particular backbone here, which tends to happen with these y-axis parent bones, you have what we call gimbal lock, meaning that the bank and the heading are both on the same axis while the pitch is roaming free here. So instead of having a setup like this, setup like that, where we have heading, pitch, and bank all on separate axes, like so, if you can see that, we don't have that with these 2 particular bones, the parent bones in both chains on the y-axis. So in order to fix this, what we do is we click on, it doesn't matter which one you do first, the top or the bottom. I'll start with the top here. And we're going to go through a series of steps to correct this gimbal lock. So the first step is to switch our view mode from texture shaded solid into wireframe view mode. This enables you to see the tools better once you start using the bone twist tool. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, see that a little clearer. And next up is in fact the bone twist. I'm under the setup tab and I look for a tool called bone twist right here under modify. When I click on the bone twist tool, I'm going to get a yellow handle. You see that there? Now I recommend you do this in perspective view and just rotate up top like this, and you can really get a great view of what it is you're doing. And I can sort of zoom in and kind of be more surgical about this. Take that yellow handle and drag it with your mouse 90 degrees. Now it can be 90 degrees forward or it can be 90 degrees backward like this. It doesn't matter. Either way it will work. Doesn't it have to be exactly 90 degrees? No, it does not. Just rotate it, eyeball it, something like that. All right, I'm going to zoom out, go back to the view I had earlier. And now with that rotation, I'm ready to hit the Y key on my keyboard to activate the rotate tool. So the only reason I'm doing this is to drop my bone twist tool, and I just like to do that so I can just see what's going on in rotate land. I can see that my bank and heading are still locked. So next step, I'm going to go to orientation under modify and choose record pivot rotation. Record pivot rotation. What that's going to do is going to make a note and record that new 90-degree angle I added to that, so to fix that gimbal lock hopefully. And there we go. Now you look at those rotation handles, they do look indeed fixed, but everything's a mess. So what happened was when you use the record tool and you record this orientation, it automatically deactivates the parent bone as well as usually a few of the children. So you can see, if you look closely, that this bone, the parent bone that we were working on, as well as the child here, both look dotted on the edges and they look see-through, as opposed to these which look more solid. So there is a visual difference you can see between the unactive bones and the active bones. And so to reactivate these, we're going to hit the R key, and I'm going to click the R key on the child as well. Select it first and then hit the R key to activate. There we go. And so now we're ready. The model regains its composure. And if you look now at the original parent bone, we're good to go. We have our heading, pitch, and bank all separate. Okay, so it's the same process for the lower back. I'll quickly do it again, just in case you missed any of it. You select the bone, you make sure you're in wireframe view mode, you recognize the gimbal lock because you're in rotate mode by hitting the Y key, and then you're ready to start the process. Step 1, bone twist, rotate 90 degrees. I'm going to go a bit faster this time because we already did it. After it's been rotated, hit the Y key. Go back to rotation mode, rotation tool, and then record under orientation, record your pivot rotation. All right, so then I'm going to reactivate the bones. They got deactivated in the process. Check it to make sure it's okay. And yes, my gimbal lock is fixed. I'm ready to go. All right, so that's how to fix gimbal lock. At this point, we are ready to do the details that we may want to add to this model just to make things easier. Say, for example, like going into the scene editor, dope editor here, and looking at the hierarchy, making sure everything is good, and then naming all these bones appropriately. And again, I do like to do this in layout just because I can select on the bone and see the bone I'm working with. And remember to rename this, right click it, manipulate, rename, and just change the name. So that would be a good way to sort of line all these up and make sure that they are easily identifiable. Instead of numbers, you have names that make sense to you. Whatever you want to name them is fine as long as it makes sense to you in terms of what you're going to use to work. After that, all you really need to do at this point is just check the rotation handles, make sure that you can get all the poses you're looking to get, and you're pretty much ready to put this guy in a position to start animating. So to move the character, we're not moving the bones, we're only using the bones to pose. To move the physical character, the whole character, we go to the objects mode, And we use the move tool as normal and simply position it, Y to rotate it, and this is how you get your character in the starting position or the starting place in your scene that you want to set up. So you're just going to move it in place, and then of course when it comes to posing, you're going to go back to bones and you're going to start rotating those bones to get the pose that you're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for now on this lesson, and this will take us a little step further towards the animation process, but hopefully now you understand not only how to build Skelgons, convert them into bones, rename them, but also now how to fix the gimbal lock and how to make adjustments that you need to make to set everything up properly. And at this point, we're pretty much done with the rigging for our flour sack, and we're ready to start the animation process on the next lesson.